Alright, welcome back to the channel. So we're out here tonight, gonna mess around with the Comet some more. I don't have like a lot to go over or a lot to show. We're just gonna tighten up some loose ends. Right now I'm in this weird phase where I'm just, going over all kinds of little stuff that needs to be done. I put in an order this weekend for like $100 worth of very small stuff, from fittings, just odds and ends, a bunch of stuff on the motor. So we got some different pieces that we needed, some different fittings, so I could start figuring out all the AN lines. And we ordered a water pump. We did go ahead and grab a water pump from this car. So most of them for the Coyotes call for a 55 gallon per minute water pump. If you look them up, them are like 230, 280. And if y'all have already learned me, then you already know that I was like, not happening, not paying 230, 280 for a water pump. There's gotta be a cheaper way. So I have been digging for 6 months about trying to find something to pop up for cheaper, and nothing had, I have had no luck. So I started digging harder the other night. I've been using all kinds of keywords, 55 gallons per minute. That doesn't really trigger the best results. So, I was just digging for water pumps, used NASCAR water pumps, used water pumps, all kinds of stuff. Because when you get up to that level of water pump, you can rebuild like all of that stuff. So it's not like a big deal to get used. Finally stumbled across one that was labeled 55 gallons per hour. I messaged the seller and I was like, hey, most of these are measured in minutes, GPM, not GPH. And I was like, is it a typo? He messaged me back and he was like, sorry, auction corrected. I checked it, he changed it to 55 gallons per minute. Now, I know y'all are saying right now, oh, he could be lying. He could. That's the gamble you take of buying used stuff. But his online store sells a bunch of performance stuff and a bunch of used performance stuff. It looks like he does a lot of secondhand performance. Whenever the part comes in, of course, I'll drop his, seller name on eBay and all that for y'all. He looked like a straight up dude. When you take the water pump and you compare it to other new ones, they're coming back 55 gallons per minute for the same look, same brand, same style. It did come off of a big block Chevy. So that's a big motor, probably moves more water. In my opinion, just guessing. So I don't know, I feel good about it. But being it is a Chevy style, it has the legs on it that mount to the motor. We don't need that. So when we get it in, me and Mike have already discussed cutting the legs, welding some AN fittings to it, and changing it over. But we'll go over all that when we get that in. I'm just trying to let y'all know where we're at. Basically, a handful of little fittings were holding me up to start pulling measurements with my tape measure. So like I said, I buy all my lines used AN lines. So being that everything's used, I have to work with what I got or work with what I have to kind of, take and, put the fitting there wherever it goes, and then put your piece that you're going to. So if you're going from like a hose to a water pump, then measure the distance in between, okay? So if the distance in between is 12 inches, then that means that we need a used line probably 12 to 19 inches. If you get a little longer, you can maybe make a loop, not a loop like this where it looks tacky, but you could go up a little higher and, to route it and make it look clean. You don't want to curl up a bunch of hoses. So far, I have none of that. But you got to figure out point A to point B, so exactly, what kind of space you have to work with. So that's what we're doing, is put in them orders. Once them parts come in, then we're going to start laying all that stuff out. I am putting hard line under the car, aluminum tubing underneath the vehicle, and it will have AN fittings on each end, and that will connect, the front of the car to the rear of the car, being the radiators in the rear of the car. So that will connect your motor will have an AN line on the motor, and then it will go down under the car to an AN fitting on the end of the tube, and then the tube will, go to the other end of the car, and then another AN line will come off of that. So that way we just have a distance of, feet that's eaten up by aluminum tube versus AN line, because AN line can get expensive even used. But that's basically what we're doing. So tonight I'm gonna just I haven't got no parts in, but I still have a couple little things that I want to show y'all and go over, and that's it. That's what we're doing with the Comet right now. So let's get to what we got on the list for tonight, and y'all check it out. So on your transmission, you have this end. This looks like a sword, don't it? You have your yoke, okay? Everybody says that when you're setting up the car, everything I read, that you kind of want to put the crank center line, pointed at the rear end of the car. And that goes for a lot of cars. You don't want your, let's see here if I can get this right without boogering this up. You don't want your pinion angle to, or you don't want everything to be straight. You want a little bit of pinion angle on each end, of each yoke. Y'all know what I'm trying to say, but you still want them in the same direction. So what I come up with when I was trying to find all of that on this car is I took a old yoke that I had and took an aluminum pipe and literally just beat it in there. So this thing has definitely been hammered through a couple times, but it has not damaged the splines or anything. See here, the splines are in perfectly fine shape because the aluminum is so soft. That made for a perfect fit. And then I found this other pipe that was extremely tight. It made for a perfect fit. And then I took a laser pointer and wrapped it with yellow painter's tape. Okay, and I just kept wrapping it until it barely wanted to fit in there. And it has a little bit of play, but not a ton. So what that allowed me to do was basically when I was setting the motor, because I wasn't doing YouTube back then, is that allowed me to set it in there and find the angle of what I want. I played around with it, and that's what got my mid plate, and that's what got my front motor mounts done. So I'm gonna kind of jump under the vehicle real fast and just show y'all what I'm talking about in case somebody doesn't understand. So what you got under the vehicle, you take your yoke, put it in your tail shaft. Pretty basic information. She's a tight fit, so okay, so you get that in there, and then you have this pointed out, and that's puts basically your crank center line and all that in perspective. Let me turn y'all around. Let's see here. Let's turn off this light for a second, and then all I did was take my laser pointer and not showing up because it's so dim, but let me see. You can kind of see it right there, okay? So there it goes, okay? So I'm a little off, I'm not perfectly centered, but the rear end has been moved, but you can see that I'm pretty, right underneath it. So not bad, it keeps going in and out because the battery's dead. But yeah, that'll help you get everything in line. So whenever I first originally had done all this, I was hitting the dot like literally dead on. And it does have a lot of play, like I said, in the end right there. So if you were to take it, let's see if I can get everything in line. You can see it back there. Okay, so I can move it around. Okay, I can push it up. You can hardly see it. I can push it up where it's hitting right there in the center. Okay, but if you let it just naturally relax, it's hitting right there dead below it just a little bit. So not bad, but that's just a piece of, a tip that maybe could help somebody. If you were trying to line your rear end up with, or your crank center line and your transmission, you were trying to point everything straight at the rear end. That's a, nice little piece of advice that, could help you get that accomplished. Just keep this in mind that, this is just a ballpark tool, that this is not anything precise at all. This is just something you could build in your garage, and it's like literally like a sword. But this is just something you could build in your garage to get you in the ballpark, and that's all I needed. Like most people just, I think, that are building it in a garage or doing it themselves, most people just kind of eyeball it, I feel like, or they use a piece of tape or a string line, or I've seen a couple different things online. The professionals, I'm sure they have an amazing way to do it all, but us guys that are just doing it in our garage, we're limited to what we have. If you have any tips to help others out on how they can make sure their motor and transmission is pointing at their rear end and it's not, a little too much to the left or too much to the right, drop it in the comments, help everybody else out, let them know. But I figured I would just share with y'all, and I don't have measurements on none of this stuff. I guess I could take measurements on it if somebody wanted to know the information, but I literally just dug in the scrap bin, you know, and found it. And like I said, the laser pointer I've had forever, and I just wrapped tape around it. So let me pull it out and I'll show you. See, it's just a regular laser pointer with painter's tape wrapped up around it to make the difference, because that's all I had at the time whenever I went to do it. So, and you know, it has some play, like I said, you know, but yeah, maybe that'll help somebody else. What we are going to do, I wanted to show you all that before I take this apart. So we're going to put this in the vise and go ahead and get this out of it, take this apart, because I do need to go ahead and put this in the vehicle. You know, just slip it in, because I need to order the yoke for the rear end. The 8.8 has the flange on it, and from everything I'm reading online, states that the flange is not good. If y'all know any information on that, comment below right now. Also, up to what horsepower, you know, can we keep a flange style yoke on the 8.8? You know, and not have to switch to an actual, you know, yoke style that bolts on, because I'm about to order one for the rear end and use this for mock-up. I'm gonna probably order a strange unit for the transmission at a later date. You know, but I would love to go ahead and get my measurement from the rear end to the transmission so that I can order the drive shaft, because I've found a couple of used NASCAR drive shafts. There's like 7 different sizes available in links. I think they're aluminum. But there's a couple on there, and I would just love to go ahead and know my measurement and see if I'm anywhere in the ballpark of purchasing a used drive shaft, or if I'm gonna have to, you know, buy. Here's our other package that we got in for the car. So I ordered this back in, so I wanted to go over this tracking. Ordered this back on January the 15th. So this bad boy has come all the way, as you can see the writing. This is all the way from Ukraine. So we all know what's going on with the Ukraine, you know, country overseas right now. It sucks. It's sad. My thoughts are definitely with them as they go through this, but I figured I would go over this because I worked with this gentleman for a couple of weeks. Very nice guy. Me and him worked back and forth. He, you know, answered my messages and everything. Here, it got processed through on January the 15th. It took from January to 15th right there, processed through over there in Ukraine. It took till February the 5th to hit New York, where it come into the U.S. It hit Fayetteville on February the 12th. Fayetteville's just a little bit up the road from me. This was about the time that everything started happening, you know, overseas with all the stuff. And so it wasn't going nowhere. The package was just sitting for a couple of days because I was tracking it pretty decent. And I was like, my luck, you know, somebody done received it at Fort Bragg, freaked out because of all the stuff going overseas, and, you know, it's been confiscated or trashed or no telling whatnot, you know. So I messaged the gentleman and I was like, hey, you know, I just wanted to go ahead and let you know that the package has been sitting for a couple of days and it hasn't made any movements. And I'm worried that it's lost in the mail. You know, I just wanted to kind of go ahead and let you know. And he was like, you know, basically no problem. It's showing that it's in your country. You know, give it a little time. Sometimes it takes, you know, time. And it wasn't expected to be delivered yet, but Fayetteville's 2 hours up the road from me. So it shouldn't be sitting for 4 days or whatever it sat for it to get to me. So I don't know what went on from February the 12th to March the 4th, because this is the same location. So it's like it was going in circles. But I was worried that it was gone, you know, so I messaged him. And then March the 5th, it finally departed Fayetteville. It arrived in Wilmington March the 5th. You know, they've tried to deliver it. We were closed. And so March the 7th, it was finally delivered. So I had messaged the gentleman when it was, you know, back after he said that, you know, it was in my country. And I was like, okay, cool. I just want to let you know, you know, hope everything's okay with you, you and your family, you know, y'all are in our thoughts. And he didn't reply back. So, and I was like, man, this dude was just so stand up, so nice, worked with me on designing this piece, you know, doing everything. And now, you know, he's got a business and now he's probably lost everything, unfortunately. So I got no reply. That was, let's see here, today's the 8th. So that was about February the 20th probably, and today's the 8th, and he never replied. So it showed up today or yesterday. I got it today, this morning when we come in, and I messaged him back this morning and was like, hey, just letting you know the product arrived. Looks good. I'm happy with it. Thanks for everything. Hope you and your family are doing okay. And everybody's staying safe. And no reply. So I don't think we really need, maybe they're busy, hope nothing else happened to them, because me as a business owner, it sucks to see somebody else making, trying to make an honest living and do something and then could be gone. So definitely sucks, but I want to show you all this product. I would drop the seller's information and all that, but I don't think right now that it's going to do you any good, because I got a feeling that this gentleman has probably lost his business and lost everything, and probably responding to his eBay messages is probably the least of his concerns right now. But I still want to show y'all what it is, because I'm going to put it on the card. We got man, she's coming all out crooked. So here is what we got. Went ahead and got the decal made for the back of the car. So it's pretty basic. It's not nothing, incredible. All of these little wrinkles will come out. This is basically a see-through decal, the type that you can see through. Thinking about coming in here and cutting around this so that, it's not the whole window. This is a grayish look, but when it goes on the window, it should actually turn black, because what you're seeing is the white paper, through all the little dots. So inside the car, you should be able to see out, but, from the outside in, it will look like a solid decal. So I think it turned out pretty sick. This will be on the back of the glass if anybody is standing at the starting line, taking pictures of the back of the car or whatever, this will be across the back of the glass. And I'm pretty stoked to see how it looks. If it's cheaply made and it doesn't last, I paid $53, I think. I'm about to post a picture of it. But if it don't last, it's not a big deal. The car stays inside. It will stay inside. It won't be outside a ton. So it's not like you can get a bunch of UV exposures. But everything that I was seeing local, here in town, a lot of the local stuff here was, people were wanting, $100, $200, whatever, to design up, a decal. So seeing this for $50 shipped to my door was pretty killer. There's other eBay sellers that do it. But I like going for the absolute cheapest. And, when I was searching, the absolute cheapest ended up being over in Ukraine. So, interesting little story, but I want to try to get this, put on the car and see what it looks like. So this is what I got. I kind of went and just cut down using a straight edge, and I actually used a paint can to get this curve, and actually freehanded this side. I've just kind of cut it down. I laid it on the back window, and it just, man, where did that piece go? It makes it actually look, you can see the black vinyl. It makes it's not quite that white. Here, let me peel this off. And you can see, I'm guessing this starts out as, I don't know, I thought it would, maybe it does start out as black vinyl, but you can actually see where the ink, sprayed through, obviously when they were printing it. But basically, this is what you end up looking like. So I just didn't like that, the whole back glass being covered in that. So I decided that I was going to cut it out. I only spent $50 on it. If I hate it, then I could peel it off. But I kind of wanted a big, the channel name on the back window. But I didn't want that, polka dot looking, stuff everywhere. So if it was a whole image, like the whole back glass was an image, like you see a couple cars, then it'd be better. But being I just have, a smaller section, then, I figured it'd be best to cut it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all laid out and get this stuck and see what it looks like. So this might be super boring to some of y'all, but there's not a ton going on. So I'm literally just gonna, show you as I go what I'm up to. It's just a basic decal install. If you want it to look decent, find your center point. The center point is gonna be the bottom of the guy's mask. The yellow tape is gonna be the center point of the deck lid. I measured it out. You can look it up it. And it goes straight through the screw up there, straight through the nose. That's centered when it's tilted like this, pretty much. Then you'll stick your tape to lay it out so it don't move. What we're gonna do is we're gonna peel up this side. We're gonna peel the white backing paper off of it. we're gonna cut the white backing paper, not on the Lexan. We don't wanna cut Lexan. And then we're gonna work our decal with the sticky, you know, the white paper is gonna be gone. It's gonna be cut in half. We're gonna work our decal out on this way. You know, that's gonna lock this side in place. And then we're gonna go peel the tape, pull this side up, pull the backing paper off of it, and then we're gonna work our decal out that way. That's gonna keep everything straight and work the air bubbles out of it as it goes. As you can see, we've cut half of our backing paper off. We took our decal, folded it that way, cut our backing paper off, not on your Lexan. Just cut it off, make sure all this little trash is out of your way so you have a clean install. Obviously, I've already wiped the window down before I put it on, and now we're just gonna fold it back this way and work it out with the rubber, you know, a rubber installing tool. So there you go. That's how it looks with it installed. I can go ahead and tell you one thing that I don't think I'm gonna like about it at all is, of course, the little edges. You know, these are little tiny circles. So there's some circles that are basically half moons, okay? You can see right here on the edge, and that leaves a little corner, a little edge. So when you're trying to wipe it down with a microfiber cloth, you can definitely feel it like this. It just doesn't wipe across good with the microfiber cloth. So you can definitely feel that the edges are gonna grab a little tiny piece of lint. I think it's gonna end up having, you know, lint around the edges, or them little tiny pieces, you know, wanting to lift as they get trash underneath them. You know, if you just washed it always and didn't wipe it with, you know, microfiber, then you'd probably be okay. But I got a feeling that overall I'm gonna end up, you know, not being the most happy with it. So probably at some point get a different one made that's solid vinyl maybe, now that I know that I don't really want the whole back glass. You know, solid vinyl with, you know, the skull mask with the paint respirator or the gas, you know, respirator in it. I don't know. This was just something I wanted to try out. Seen it on some other cars and really liked it. You know, how, you know, it covered the back glass. But then when I kind of looked at that at mine, kind of didn't want it over the whole back glass. But from inside, you can see out of it, you know, it looks like there's a tore off window tint, but you can still see out of it. And this car will have a rear view mirror. So I kind of wanted to be able to see out of it, being it is a street, you know, since I will street drive it. But who knows? So that's where I'm at with the Comet. There's just not a lot of stuff going on, man. There's really not. You know, it's a lot of ordering stuff, and I'm trying to pay off a couple of items that we had already put on some credit. Yeah, I mean, so there's just not going to be a ton of content on the Comet right now, unfortunately. But that's a short update. I think I'm going to call it a wrap. As we get more parts come in, I'll show you what we got going on. But that's going to be a wrap for tonight. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll catch you on the next video.